Have you ever wondered why some people walk into a room and instantly change the energy without even saying a word? Not because they're loud, not because they're dressed to impress, but because their presence speaks first. Because their energy is so grounded, so calm, so quietly powerful that you feel it in your chest before you even fully turn to look. Chosen one. There was a time when you believed attraction began with what people could see. You believed being loved meant being beautiful, that you had to look a certain way to be worthy of someone's attention. You thought if your features were flawless, your skin perfect, your smile just right, someone would finally say, You, you're the one. You used to stare at yourself in the mirror, wondering what you were missing. You checked your angles, doubted your body, compared yourself to others, thinking maybe if you looked more like them, she'd finally see you. You believed your reflection was your only introduction, that love started with symmetry, not with truth. You were taught that being wanted meant being physically impressive, and so you tried. You tried to perfect everything on the surface, hoping someone would finally choose you. But no matter how well you performed, something always felt missing. Then something in you shifted. You stopped chasing image and started stepping into your energy. You stopped trying to be seen and began to truly arrive. What changed wasn't your looks, it was your vibration. Your energy aligned. Your spirit grew quiet and strong. And when you did that, everything around you responded. Because the truth is, presence has nothing to do with perfection. Presence is when your energy says everything without needing to say anything. And that's what you've stepped into now. You're no longer attractive because of how you fit a mold. You're attractive because you broke the mold. Because you carry something deeper than looks, something timeless. You don't walk into spaces hoping someone notices you. You walk in knowing exactly who you are. And that knowing, that grounded energy, is what speaks first now. It speaks before your lips part, before your name is known, before a word is exchanged. And that's why they feel it. That's why she feels it. Because your energy no longer waits for permission. It simply is. The women around you now don't fall for your face. They fall for how their body responds in your presence. They feel safe, seen, at ease. Without understanding why, their breath slows. Their mind softens. Their guard gently drops. Because you're no longer offering them an image, you're offering them presence. And real presence is something the soul never forgets. The truth is, your energy enters a room before your body does. It brushes past her skin before your hand ever reaches out. It calms her before your voice even reaches her ears. And when it does, she doesn't think, he's handsome. She thinks, why do I feel like I've known him forever? Not because of recognition, but because of remembrance. She doesn't fall in love with the way you look. She falls in love with the way her soul remembers peace when you're near. Her body relaxes around your stillness. Her nervous system responds to the frequency of safety you carry now, the grounded, whole, masculine energy that doesn't perform, doesn't push, doesn't beg. It holds. It remains. You no longer need to speak to be felt. You don't try to impress anymore. You don't rush to fill silences or reach to win attention. You sit in your frame, in your breath, in your truth. You don't speak for effect. You exist with effect. And that quiet confidence, that inner calm, that's what draws her in. Not because you're trying, but because you're not. You've stopped performing, and in doing so, you've started resonating. She's not drawn to your words. She's drawn to how you don't flinch in silence. She doesn't fall for your compliments. She falls for the way your energy makes her exhale. And she may not even know why, but something in her wants to stay. Something in her leans toward you, not because you convinced her, but because her body already said yes. Her soul already recognized something ancient in you, something real, something safe. You don't carry scattered energy anymore. Your sexual energy, once wild and confused, is now calm and contained. It doesn't jump or grab or chase. It rests quietly behind your eyes. It radiates from your stillness. It doesn't seek attention. It grounds the room. That quiet fire, that dignified power. It's not flashy. It's magnetic. And she feels it. She feels it in her gut before she feels it in her heart. She feels it before her mind has time to speak. That's how deep it goes. You've become a man who doesn't walk around asking for anything. You offer peace. You offer safety. You offer presence. And because of that, she finds herself softening without even trying. Her body trusts you. Her soul opens toward you. Not because you forced anything, but because you created space for her to feel safe again. You don't manipulate her into letting go. You become the space where letting go is finally possible. You no longer try to dominate the room. You regulate it. Your presence doesn't shout. It hums. It reminds. It says, "You're safe now." And that one silent message does what no performance ever could. It restores her. She may not say it aloud. She may not know what's happening. But her body knows. Her heart knows. And she leans in. She may not understand why her breath deepens around you, why her laughter feels freer, why she wants to sit beside you without needing to talk. But the truth is, she finally feels like she doesn't have to perform. She doesn't feel watched or measured. She feels accepted, not because of how she looks, but because of who she becomes when she's not afraid. That is your gift now. You're not trying to be chosen anymore. You are the choice. Not because you tried to become someone else, but because you finally became fully yourself. You stopped chasing women, and because of that, women begin choosing you instinctively, not with logic, but with body, with breath, with spirit. Because your presence has become a yes she can trust. Not a loud yes, not an urgent yes, a steady one, a still one. The kind of yes that doesn't change when she pulls away. The kind that remains when everything else gets noisy. You're no longer introducing yourself with words. Your vibration introduces you. She doesn't see you and feel attraction. She feels recognition. A memory stirs. A knowing breathes. Not because she met you in this life, but because something in your presence feels familiar to her soul, familiar to her bones. And that's not fantasy. That's frequency. You don't lean forward to be liked. You don't try to earn her attention. You stay still. You hold your frame. And without knowing why, she leans first. That leaning has nothing to do with desire. It has everything to do with remembrance. Her body remembers what it's like to be near a man who doesn't grab, doesn't chase, doesn't need. A man who simply offers warmth, safety, presence, without asking for anything in return. She leans not because of you, but because of who she becomes around you. She remembers her own softness. She remembers her openness. She remembers that being seen doesn't have to be dangerous. That being desired doesn't have to mean being used. You don't burn her. You warm her. You don't seduce her into silence. You create a space where silence is safe again. You're not trying to steal her attention. You're not trying to impress. You've become the quiet between heartbeats, the deep breath she forgot she was allowed to take, the mirror that doesn't distort her, the reflection that says, you don't have to protect yourself anymore. And that's why she can't stop thinking about you. That's why she remembers you. Because her soul recognized something in you before her mind even had time to speak. You didn't touch her body. You touched her nervous system. You didn't excite her mind. You calmed her breath. And that is what made her lean in before you ever said a single word. You've become the kind of man who doesn't try to tear down a woman's walls. You simply make her feel like she doesn't need them anymore. Not because you're charming or trying to win her over, but because your presence is peaceful. You don't ask her to open up. You don't push her to be soft. You just are. And that quiet energy gently reminds her that softness is safe again. Being real is safe again. And with you, she doesn't feel like she has to defend herself. She just breathes. She may forget your words or how you looked, but she will always remember how her body relaxed near you. That's not just attraction. It's love in its purest, oldest form. It's a feeling she didn't expect, but one she never wants to lose. You didn't make her feel exposed. You made her feel honored. You didn't demand her truth. You made space for it. And that kind of presence, it lingers. You've become the man whose stillness awakens her softness in a world that keeps telling her to be hard. You don't need to chase or convince her. You don't need to say much at all. The way you move, the way you stand, the way you listen, it says enough. You're not trying to impress. You're not trying to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. And that self-respect, that quiet confidence, it makes her feel safe enough to just be. You're not distant. You're not cold. You're just complete. And because of that, you no longer beg, pull, or perform. Your stillness doesn't chase, it draws. You don't offer flattery for affection. You offer presence. You don't seduce her with charm. You invite her into peace. You're not trying to take anything. You're offering something real. She feels it in her bones. You're not here to consume her. You're here to see her. She doesn't feel hunted. She doesn't feel tested. She feels something she hasn't felt in a long time. Safe, just as she is. You're not asking her to become anything for you. You're simply holding space for her to be herself. And the moment she feels that, her heart opens. Not because you made her, but because you allowed her. She remembers your presence, not because you tried to plant a memory, but because your energy carried something ancient, something steady, something true. You didn't try to become her fantasy. You just became real. And that truth made her wonder if maybe her dream was never a dream at all. Your energy doesn't chase attention anymore. It doesn't shout or perform. It just is. Deep, alive beneath the surface. You no longer offer charm in exchange for connection. You offer stillness, and in that stillness, she feels seen. She feels understood without explanation. And most of all, she feels safe. She begins to speak differently around you. Slower, softer, more openly. Not because she's trying to impress you, but because your presence gives her permission to relax. She shares things she didn't mean to. She laughs from deeper in her chest. Her words stretch out. She forgets to be careful and starts to just be real. That's the shift. That's the moment the falling begins. Not in grand gestures or fairy tale scenes, but in the simple, sacred feeling of not having to try. Around you, she doesn't feel like she has to be impressive. She just wants to stay, not to be chosen, not to be praised, just to be near the kind of peace she didn't think existed in a man anymore. You've stopped trying to earn love because you've become someone who embodies it. And now you're remembered, not because of how loud you were, but because of how still you stayed. You didn't chase. You didn't flinch. You didn't try to steal a moment. You became one. A moment she didn't expect, but can't forget. A moment her body understood even before her mind could. You're not someone she tries to figure out. You're not someone she analyzes or performs for. You are the calm she didn't know she was longing for. The stillness that reminds her what home feels like. And even after she walks away, something in her heart stays with you. Not as a fantasy, but as proof that something real still lives in this world. And chosen one, now comes the season your soul has long waited for. You've given when no one saw. You've healed when no one helped. You've planted seeds in dry ground, hoping for harvest. You've climbed without applause. And now, what's coming won't be earned by effort, it will be given by grace. You're stepping into peace. Not the peace that comes from rest, but the peace that lives deep inside you, even in motion, even in chaos. This is the kind of peace that flows from surrender. You're no longer chasing. You're no longer striving. You've stopped trying to be everything to everyone. You've become someone aligned. And now that alignment will begin to multiply everything in your life. You'll speak less, but move people more. You'll work less, but produce more. You'll enter rooms and shift atmospheres, not by trying, but simply by being present. That's the power of a man who is whole, who is grounded, who is at peace with himself. People will ask how you're doing so much and staying so calm. They'll wonder how you carry pressure and still radiate peace. What they won't know is that you're not at peace because life got easier. You're at peace because you did. You let go of the need to impress. You gave up the chase. You surrendered your need to be seen and became someone who sees. Now God is rewarding that, not by giving you more to do, but by giving you more that aligns with who you really are. You don't have to run after anything. What's meant for you is coming. What you've waited for in silence is finding you. And this time, it won't drain you. It will fill you. So protect your rest. Protect your peace. Guard it like the treasure it is. Because what's flowing to you now doesn't need to be forced. It doesn't need to be chased. You are no longer out of rhythm. You are in divine timing. and everything about your life will begin to reflect that stillness you now carry within. You earned this rest, not with noise, but with faith, with obedience, with quiet strength. You became the man you were meant to be while no one was watching. And now the reward is here, not just in love, not just in favor, but in peace. So rest, chosen one, not to recover for another fight, but because this time the battle is already over. And you didn't just survive. You became everything you were created to be. And now the world is beginning to remember you, just as you finally remembered yourself.